Hello my astrology friends. Once again I'm here with a new video. This time is about the upcoming T-square between three celestial bodies, which is the Sun in Taurus, Pluto in Aquarius, and Mars in Leo. This will happen from the 20th all the way to the 27th, just as we're arriving at the new moon in Taurus, which is going to happen also at the same day. Okay, this T-square is pretty intense because it's a fixed T-square between three fixed signs. And the other signs, which is a Scorpio, which is not part of this celestial body's T-square, will also going to feel this intense energies very strongly, because two of Scorpio's rulers, which is Pluto and Mars, will be taking part in these T-squares. So every fixed sign will be affected. Mars in Leo, Pluto in Aquarius, and also Sun in Taurus. At the same time, Scorpio will also be affected. But for the other signs, all of them will be affected some way or somehow by this upcoming T-square. So this is my 12 signs breakdown for this T-square. Let's start. Okay, for Aries rising, this T-square will involve three houses. Sun in Taurus in the second, Mars in Leo in the fifth, and Pluto in Aquarius in the 11th house. So Sun in Taurus, focus on your money and resources. Mars in Leo, drive and passion towards your creative projects, also towards your children, hobbies. And then Pluto in Aquarius, which is intensity regarding your networking and also your friends. So for this T-square, Mars will be the trigger. Mars will trigger it, so it will trigger the 11th house, friendship and network, hopes and dreams, and then also it will trigger the second house where Sun is in. Sun, where Sun is in the sign of Taurus in your second house, is all about money and resources. So connect the dots. Fifth house trigger came from that house, Mars, and then 11th house, your friends, and second house, your money, your finances, and also your resources. So you have to be mindful regarding this Aries. So for example, I gave you an example. A simple example, you have a creative project, fifth house, and then something happens regarding towards that creative projects that have to do with your friends or network or even social media, 11th house. And also it will square or will create a tension regarding your second house, which is where Sun is in Taurus. So maybe that creative project will suck in more finances from you, second house, or maybe that creative project will give you a limited time to be social with your friends, 11th house. So that's a simple example regarding this. Okay, so for Aries rising, just focus on connection between the 5th, the 2nd, and the 11th, with the trigger of Mars in Leo in the 5th house. Okay, let's go to the next sign. For the next sign, we will go to Taurus rising. For Taurus rising, this will trigger three places in your chart, which is the Sun in Taurus, first house, you, and then Mars in Leo, fourth house, your family, and then Pluto in Aquarius, 10th house, your career. So because Mars is going to trigger this, then something in your family, in your home, or maybe your mother could take part in this trigger. Whatever it is, relating to homes, relating to your family, relating to where you live, in fact, your property. Property is also the fourth house, and also your ancestry. But for example, simple example, your mother, your family, your home. Something in those places will trigger first house, which is you, the Sun. The Sun is currently on the first house of your first house, Sun in Taurus. And then it will also oppose and trigger Pluto in the 10th house, your career. So maybe there's something happening in your home that cause a friction for you personally, and also cause some discomfort regarding your career, 10th house. Whatever it is, just be mindful that the trigger will come from your family, and that trigger will create friction for you, Sun in Taurus, your first house, and also will create a friction towards your 10th house, your career. If I can advise Taurus rising, because the Sun is currently in your sign, in your rising sign, focus on you, because whenever the Sun is, it's shining a light on whatever it is that's currently happening in that house. And the Sun is currently happening in the sign of Taurus, will happen in the sign of Taurus, and it's you. So focus on yourself, even though the trigger will come from your family, but instead focus on yourself. That's my advice. Okay, let's go to the next sign. For the next sign, we will go to Gemini. For Gemini, 3 houses will be triggered by this T-square. The first is Sun in Taurus in your 12th house, and then Mars in Leo will create a trigger from your 3rd house, and Pluto in Aquarius will happen in your 9th house. So it will be the 3rd, the 9th, and also the 12th house. For Gemini, it's a bit not tricky, but a bit unique, because the 12th house is involved in this. Because the Sun is currently in your 12th house. This is a subconscious house. This is a mental house. So pay attention to anything mental. Mental health, because you're a Gemini, you know about mental, because you're an air sign and also Gemini, your life is very controlled by your mental stimulation. So pay attention to your mental health, because the Sun is there, Sun in Taurus. But a trigger will happen from your 3rd house. 3rd house is also a very mental house, a cerebral house. This is the house of traveling, knowledge, skills, and also your siblings. And then Pluto will oppose it from the 9th house. This is the bigger picture house, the house of traveling, but far away, foreign lands, the house of higher learning, higher education. This is basically the principle of life. How you do your life, how you approach life in terms of the mindset. This is where it is. This is what the 9th house is all about. So that's why this is called the house of expansion. So be mindful that all of these houses are cerebral houses, houses that involve mental things, mental stimulation, knowledge and wisdom. So pay attention to that. And you as a Gemini, you can handle this, because Gemini is a very cerebral, a very mental sign. So be mindful of your mental health, be mindful of your principle of life, 9th house, and also be careful of the trigger that came from the 3rd house, which is communication. Watch your words, Gemini. Okay, let's go to the 4th sign. Now we will go to Cancer rising. For Cancer rising, 3 houses will be activated by this, which is Leo, where Mars is in the 2nd house, Cancer, and then Taurus, which is your 11th house, where the Sun is, and also Pluto, which is in Aquarius, your 8th house. So these houses are fixed houses. So this is the house where the energy is constant. That's why it is called fixed. And the original signs that rule these houses are fixed signs. So the 2nd house, where Mars is in, the trigger is in the sign of Leo. This will be the house of money and resources. And the 11th house, where the Sun is currently in, which is in Taurus, it will be the house of friendship, social media, networking, hopes and dreams. This is where the Sun is. This is where the focus for this next 1 month will be. And then for the long-term transit, which is Pluto, intensity, is in Aquarius in your 8th house. Pluto is in its home turf here in the 8th house. The 8th house is the original house of Pluto. Even though the expression is no longer Scorpio but Aquarius, but still Pluto is in its natural home in the 8th house. So the trigger will come from your 2nd house, finances. So maybe there's something regarding your finances, that regarding your money, your finances, your resources, that cause some anxiety towards you, Cancer rising, and then it will impact or square and oppose your friends in the 10th house, in the 11th house, friendship and also networking, and it will also impact your 8th house, which is the house of money, the house of investments, tax, insurance, stocks, bonds, stuff like that. It's also the house of the hidden things, secrecy, the house of sex. It's also the house of transformation. Basically, this is a very mental house, a very deep, a very profound house, but it can manifest its profoundness, its intensity physically. This is basically the 8th house. So something will be triggered regarding your finances. So be mindful of that, Cancer. But because Mars is in Leo in your 2nd house, you can do good things also regarding this T-square, meaning that you can channel that Martian energy into a passionate project, into things that you believe can create more money for you. But also be mindful of your friends, 11th house, and be mindful of your mental health and your psychology, because Pluto is in the 8th house. Okay, let's go to the next sign, which is Leo. Okay, Leo, you will be the center of attention for this T-square because Mars is in your sign and Mars is the trigger. Mars is in your 1st house, your sign. You can be the trigger for things that could unfold in your life, your external life, right? And then Sun is currently in your 10th house, your career, and then Pluto is currently, Pluto will currently in a long-term transit in your 7th house, your partner. So because all of these houses are external houses, so the trigger could cause friction externally, not necessarily internally, unless the moon is there. Unless you have Leo moon, it could be internal. But because we're looking at through the lens of the rising sign, Leo rising, so Mars is in your 1st house, so you can be the trigger for whatever reason, and then it could cause friction for the Sun in the 10th house, Taurus, your career, and it could also cause friction with your partner, your husband or your wife, or basically your partner in the 7th house, your marriage, your relationship. This is not just a personal relationship, this is also a business relationship, so you have to be careful. So I advise for Leo, because I know the Leo energy is a very glamorous energy, a very royal energy, look at me energy. So just tone it down a bit because Mars is there. Mars is actually in a good dignity here. It's in a good place in your 1st house. So even if you want to show the world your Leo side, you can do that. But let's just be realistic here. Mars can cut things, Mars can create conflict, Mars can create friction. That's the task of Mars. So you have to be mindful. You can be yourself, Leo, but just be mindful of that Leo-ness, if you know what I mean, because it could cause friction in your 10th house, career, Taurus, where the Sun is, and it could cause quite a friction, quite an opposition, because Pluto is opposing it from the 7th house, your partnership, your marriage with the other people that you care about. So just be mindful regarding this transit, Leo. Okay, for the next sign, we will go to Virgo. For Virgo, this T-square will activate the 12th house where Mars is, and then will activate the 9th house where the Sun is, and will activate the 6th house where Pluto is. So Pluto is in Aquarius, your 6th house. The Sun is currently transiting Taurus, which is your 9th house. And Mars, that will trigger this, is currently transiting your 12th house, which is your subconscious, your mental health house. So because the trigger will come from your subconscious, will come from your mental health, will come from the 12th house, the hidden things. So I advise you to take care of your sleep, because the 12th house is the house of sleep, right? Take care of your mental health, your sleep, and because it also will trigger the 6th house. Pluto is currently on a long-term transit in your 6th house, so be mindful of your health, right? Be very, very mindful of your health. This is also about your work, your day-to-day task. Your pets is here, So be mindful of those things. And because the sun is currently in your ninth house, this is actually a good position for the sun in the ninth house. So you can have more understanding towards the bigger picture of life, because Virgo, the energy often don't really care about the bigger picture, but because the sun is in your ninth house, use that solar royal bigger picture energy of the ninth house. Even though the ninth house will be squared by both Mars, the trigger in your 12th from your 12th house, and Pluto from your 6th house, is still a good position for the sun. So use the sun, use the ninth house as a remedy for this T-square. Connect more, travel more, find wisdom, right? Make sure that you learn more about the higher learnings, you learn more about the higher knowledge of life. If you have a mindset that is very negative, change it. The sun is your ninth house, the house of expansion, the house of luck. Use that. So be mindful, the trigger will come from your subconscious, mental health, the 12th house. It could affect your 6th house, your house of health, and also day-to-day work and task, your pets. But the solution could come from your ninth house, the house of expansion, the house of luck, the house of the divine knowledge, divine wisdom. It can be found here. You can also use traveling as a remedy for this T-square. Okay, for the next sign we will go to Libra. For Libra, this T-square will affect 3 houses in your chart. For Mars in Leo, it's in your 11th house. For Pluto in Aquarius, it will be in your, well, it's already in your 5th house. And then Sun in Taurus is in your 8th house. All of these houses are fixed houses. These are houses of fixed energy, energies that are constant, a bit stubborn energies. So the 11th house, where Mars is the house of networking, friendship, social media, hopes and dreams. So maybe your friends or your immediate relationship or immediate friendly environment, right? Your people nearby, people near you, right? Maybe they could trigger you regarding your relationship towards them. The Pluto transit in your 5th house will oppose this. So Pluto is about your creativity, it's about your romantic pursuits, it's about dating, it's about your children, it's about gambling, it's about hobbies and fun things in life. So something in the 5th house will be opposed by this Mars in Leo that will trigger it. The trigger from Mars in Leo will also square Sun in your 8th house, Sun in Taurus in your 8th house. So the 8th house is the house of transformation. This is a very dark house. This is the house where things are hidden. You hide things regarding this house, because when it comes to hidden things that are hidden from you, it's the 12th house. But if you consciously hide things, it will be this house, the 8th house. The 8th house is also the house of money. In fact, all of these 3 houses, Mars in Leo in your 11th, Sun in Taurus in your 8th, and Pluto and Aquarius in your 5th, all of these houses are actually money houses, Libra. So you can, in the good side, you can create more money with this T-square because there's tension there. But you have to be careful. T-square is a very intense energy. It could explode right in your face if you're not careful, especially with Mars in your 11th house triggering it. So be mindful of your friendship, be mindful of your investments, 8th house, and also be mindful of your creative pursuits and your children in the 5th house. If I can advise you, Libra, be mindful with whom you spend your time with in terms of friendship, because this Mars will create something there, will trigger something there. And just take a look at Pluto in the 5th house, because this is a very good house. Pluto will inject intensity towards it, but this is still a good house. So Pluto in the 5th, this could be a remedy for that, for this T-square. But you also need to look at the Sun in Taurus in your 8th house, because this is a very secretive house. So be mindful also with your investments, if you have investments. Next sign we will go to Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio, you will feel this T-square very strongly. Why? Because Mars in Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius, both of these planets, Mars and Pluto, are your rulers. So you will feel this very strongly, Scorpio. In fact, you're actually part of this T-square because your ruler, Mars and Pluto, is opposing each other, and also the Sun is opposing you and squaring Mars and Pluto at the same time. This is a very intense energy, Scorpio. So the houses that will be affected by this, Scorpio, will be the 10th, the 4th, and the 7th house. So Mars is in your 10th house, your career house, Mars in Leo, and then Sun is currently in your 7th house, house of marriage, relationship, your business partnership, your audience, and then Pluto is in your 4th house. Pluto in Aquarius is in your 4th house, your family, your mother, your property, your ancestry, your home, your emotional foundation. So this is a very intense transit for you, Scorpio, because your rulers, both of your rulers, Mars and Pluto, the ancient and more external ruler, Mars, and the modern and more internal ruler, which is Pluto. So Mars will trigger it from the 10th house, your career, and it will cause friction regarding your family, Pluto and Aquarius, the 4th house, your home, and also it will cause friction with your partner, with your partnership, both serious romantic partnership and also business partnership, the 7th house, where the Sun is, Sun in Taurus in your 7th house. So be mindful whatever move that you make in your career space, be mindful. It could impact your family, your home, 4th house. It could also impact your partnership and your marriage or your relationship, both personal and business. Sun in Taurus in the 7th house. Okay, let's go to the next sign. We will go to Sagittarius rising. For Sagittarius rising, Mars in Leo will trigger things from your 9th house. And then Sun in Taurus will trigger things from, Sun in Taurus will highlight things from your 6th house. And Pluto in Aquarius will give you intensity in the 3rd house. So the 3rd, the 6th, and the 9th, these are mutable houses. So it is a more flexible houses. There are more flexible energies in these houses. So the trigger will come from Mars in Leo in your 9th house. This is about religion, about philosophies of life, the higher learnings, about traveling. This is also about education, skills, and knowledge. So something in those fields could trigger you in the realm of communication, which is Pluto in Aquarius, right? It could also trigger your 6th house, where the Sun is currently the Sun in Taurus in your 6th house, your health, your work. So be mindful of your thought, be mindful of your thinking, because for you, Sagittarius, you are the type of energy that will speak without thinking first. That's one of your so-called annoying or lower vibrational characteristic of Sagittarius, that they often think first, they often speak first and then think later. So Mars in Leo in your 9th house could trigger you to experience that, to trigger you to do that. Please be mindful, because Pluto is in Aquarius, so it's also very communicative. It is also the house of communication, right? So be very mindful of the way you communicate with people. But it is also squaring, the Mars is also squaring your 6th house. This is about health and work. Well, something could happen in your workspace. Maybe you said something, Mars in the 9th house, you said something about your philosophies, and then people at work not agree with you and cause friction. So be very mindful of these things, Sagittarius. So it will be the 9th, the 6th, and the 3rd. Okay, let's go to the 10th sign. The 10th sign, we will go to Capricorn rising. For Capricorn rising, Mars in Leo will trigger you from your 8th house, and then Sun in Taurus will highlight your 5th house, and then Pluto in Aquarius will add intensity into your 2nd house. So the houses that will be triggered by this are fixed houses, which is the 8th, and then the 5th, and then the 2nd. So Sun will, by the time I'm posting this video, Sun will already be in Taurus in your 5th house. So 5th house is about your creative pursuits. This is basically the house of the inner child. So this house will be highlighted with the energy of the Sun in your 5th house. Your creative pursuits, your gambling, if you like to gamble, but be very, very careful, right? Gambling, your children, your inner child, your hobbies, things that make you happy, your romantic pursuits, love. Basically, this is also the house of glamour. So this house will be highlighted with the Sun in Taurus, but it will be triggered by something from your subconscious, your psychology, because Mars is currently in Leo in your 8th house. Something in your mind, in your psychology could trigger you. And then you have Pluto in Aquarius in your 2nd house. This is the house of money. Possession is also your resources. So there's intensity there, the energy of intensity in your 2nd house. So be very mindful. Something in your psychology could trigger and cause friction in your 5th house and your 2nd house. I also have to remind you, the 8th house is also the house of money, but it's other people's money, like investments, insurance, taxes, debt, right? So maybe you have an investment that's not going too well. Mars in Leo in the 8th house, investments. And those investments impact your 2nd house, money, resources. It also impacts your ability to enjoy your 5th house, Sun in Taurus. So be very, very mindful with that regarding this T-square, Capricorn. So be mindful of your money, be mindful of your investments, 2nd and 8th house, and also be mindful of your 5th house, the way you enjoy life. Because 2 money houses will be affected by this, 2nd and the 8th, and the 5th house is also involved. So be very, very mindful of your money and your investments, Capricorn. Okay, let's go to the next sign. We're going to go to Aquarius rising. For Aquarius rising, this T-square will affect the 1st house, Pluto in Aquarius, that is you. It will affect the 4th house, Sun in Taurus in the 4th, and it will affect Mars in Leo in your 7th house. So all of these 3 houses are fixed houses. These are constant energies. So the 1st house where Pluto is in is you, the intensity, and then you feel things very intensely. And then Sun in Taurus highlight your 4th house. This is all about family, home, tradition, property. And then the Sun and then the Mars in Leo, the trigger will happen from your 7th house. This is other people's house. This is the house of relationship, the house of marriage, the house of business partnership. This is basically the house of the market, the house of your audience. So something in those realms, something in your 7th house will trigger you, and it will affect you personally, Pluto Aquarius in the 1st house, and it will also affect your family, Sun in Taurus in the 4th house. So maybe your partner or your audience or someone in your relationship could affect you, could trigger you. Maybe they could do something that is hurtful to you, because this T-square involves negative aspect. Opposite you, Pluto in Aquarius, the 1st house. So you feel very strongly. It could affect you emotionally, so be very, very careful. It could also affect your family or your home or your sense of belonging, the 4th house with Sun in Taurus in the 4th. So be mindful of your relationship, be mindful of their action towards you, because Mars is action. Also be mindful of their attitude towards you, because this is the 7th house, other people. But at the same time, because you have Pluto in Aquarius in your 1st house, you absorb things even more intensely. So the intensity is there. So if I can advise you, yes, for those who have Pluto in the 1st house, you, you take things personally. That's the difficult part of Pluto in the first house. But you can transmute that, you can change that into something much more productive, something much more beautiful. Detach more, because Aquarius energy is detachment. So detach more for your own good. If you face some friction or some trigger from Mars in Leo in your 7th house, will also affect your family, your home, your mother, because Sun in Taurus highlight the 4th house. So you also have to be mindful of your family and your home. Okay, for the last sign, we will go to Pisces rising. For Pisces rising, 3 houses will be activated by this T-square, which is the 12th, the 3rd, and also the 6th. Mars in Leo will trigger things from your 6th house. This is the house of daily day activity, chores, task, work, and also the house of health and pets. Be mindful of your health. But because Mars enjoys the things that have to do with the 6th house. In fact, the 6th house is the house where Mars finds enjoyment. Then this could be productive. This could translate to good things happening to you if you use the energy of Mars in Leo in your 6th house. And also the other 2 houses that will be triggered will be the 12th house. Pluto is here, intensity in the realm of the subconscious, your mental health. This is also the house of sleep. Pay attention to your sleep, Pisces. And also the Sun in Taurus will highlight your 3rd house. This is about your siblings, your skills, your knowledge, and also communication. So be mindful of that. So the trigger will come from your 6th house with Mars here, and then it will trigger the 3rd house, communication and siblings and knowledge, and it will also trigger the 12th house, the house of sleep, subconscious, and your mental health. Just be mindful. If your work, 6th house, is taking a toll on your mental health, the 12th house, be mindful of that. Get more rest, because this 12th house is the house of sleep. Because Mars is enjoying the 6th house, the position of the 6th house where Mars is in, is good for Mars. Then make use of the Martian energy in your 6th house. Maybe you declutter more, take care of your health more, take care of your surroundings more, work more. I'm not saying work till you burn out. No, it's just that if you have tasks in your work or your day-to-day life that you need to take care of, use it. Use this Mars energy. Be more productive, but be more productive without sacrificing the 12th house, your mental health. And also be mindful of your siblings and your skills and your communication from the 3rd house, because the Sun is here. Maybe you can learn some new skills that will help you to navigate Mars in the 6th house, that will turn that Martian energy in the 6th house into a productive energy, good energy for you. So for my Pisces rising, the 12th house, the 3rd house, and the 6th house will be triggered by this transit.